Welcome to the comment section. Yes, welcome to the comment section. But first, before I release this, I want to tell you about an update that has been made on John MacArthur. And let me share my screen and show you. As of January 13th, Grace Community Church released this. Thank you for praying for Pastor John over the last 2 weeks. After a week of tests, the doctors determined that a procedure was needed to clear some blockage in his arteries. That procedure took place earlier this week and was very successful. Our pastor is recovering at home and is doing well. He will take the next few weeks off from preaching to recover and to prepare for Shepherd's Conference. God has answered our prayers, and we can add to those prayers thanksgiving that his situation was identified and resolved. Our pastor is feeling better and is grateful for the opportunity to rest in the coming weeks. Psalm 28, verses 6 to 7. Blessed be the Lord, because he has heard the voice of my supplication. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and I am helped. Therefore my heart exalts, and with my song I shall thank him. Please continue to pray for our pastors, Recovery Grace Church elders. There you have it. Pastor John MacArthur is doing better. He is recovering, and we can be grateful for that. And let's continue to pray for him. Now to the comment section video where I answer some questions or give some further discussion based on some comments that I wanted to respond to. Here it is. Welcome to the comment section. I'll be doing this from time to time. If comments seem to spark interest in an additional video, or at least touch on some things I actually wanted to touch on in the video, or maybe there's some questions to answer. And especially as the channel grows, the volume of comments grows continually, and I won't always be able to respond with a lengthy comment or at all at times to all of the comments. And so to make good use of time, I will probably do videos like this to answer some questions in the comments. So I'm going to read and respond to some comments on the video. Pastor Can't Preach being the title of it. Pastor Can't Preach. Wow emoticon. Would your church be ready? So let's take a look at some of the comments. I had some encouraging comments there, and I definitely appreciate those. The goal is not to go through and read every comment here, but I am going to touch on a few. I have a comment saying that, yeah, our church would be ready. And this man says that his pastor is a graduate of the Master's Seminary, and we have a body of elders who have a message at will. And that is an incredible thing to hear. That is exactly what we want to hear, is about a church that's ready, a church that's raising up men, training up men in the church, expositors in the church. Well, I realize the Master's Seminary trained them, but they have men that are prepared and ready to preach, so that if something, the pastor was sick or the pastor is out of town or just he needs someone else to preach, they're ready to bring a message from the Word of God. And that is great to hear. I have someone else saying something similar. He said, well, making the point, you should have an elder or two with a sermon ready to go. I agree 100%. That's definitely thinking ahead. That's something that every church elder or deacon, whatever your church may have, ideally a church has elders or deacons functioning as elders. I understand a lot of churches have deacons, but that's the ideal, is to have elders, and that these elders should be thinking ahead about filling the pulpit, and not just, bringing some associational guy to fill the pulpit, but no, they should be filling the pulpit. That's really the responsibility of an elder. An elder is to be able to teach. He needs to meet, of course, all the godly qualifications in 1 Timothy 3 and in Titus chapter 1, verses 5 to 9, but which in those passages it says apt to teach, able to teach. All right, and so here's a comment that touches on something that I didn't get on in the video, but this man says, so a gifted preacher has to wait for the regular to be ill before they can practice their gift? I said, no, they definitely shouldn't have to wait. That's an insightful comment. They shouldn't have to wait one bit. And then that wasn't the goal of the video either. It was just the fact that, well, here was John MacArthur. He was ill, and there was an elder ready to preach. But I think it's actually wrong that senior pastors are so protective of their pulpit that they're always the one preaching. And I think they should be preaching the majority of the time. Don't get me wrong. But the only time that they're not preaching is when they use their vacation days, when they're gone. And a lot of that is because the congregation wouldn't really accept them not preaching, but it takes training. And I really think that pastors, as they're training up their congregations, as they're training up men in the congregation, should make a point to give these men opportunities to preach and to be there during their normal time there. It's not their time away. And they tell their congregation, hey, we're going to have Josh preach today. And I've been working with him, and he has been teaching some, and we're going to give the pulpit to him now. And I know it's not my paid day off, if you will, but he's going to fill the pulpit. He's going to bring the message. I've been preparing him, and we need to have other men ready to preach, because that really is what the church. The church shouldn't be built off of just one preacher, and I don't think it's right when the pastor is gone. They bring in some denominational guy. They always bring in a guest preacher. There's nothing wrong with a guest preacher. It's good to have a guest preacher, but the congregation gets used to guest preachers, and what they don't get used to are preachers in the church preaching. I mean, especially if there are associate pastors, youth pastor. I mean, not all pastors want to preach, but really, pastors should be in the role of preaching. Youth pastors may or may not want to preach from the pulpit on Sunday morning, but there should be but that's a whole nother episode, maybe. I mean, the fact that the way the church is structured right now, you have pastors that aren't even actually elders in the church. You have churches that have a structure where a youth pastor is not actually an elder. They're just there to work with the youth. And all pastors should be elders, really, biblically speaking. But there should be a training up men in the church, and men should be able to walk in their gifting and use their gifting, and not wait for the regular to be ill, as this man stated in the comments. I absolutely think that there should be more opportunities, not necessarily Sunday morning. I'm not saying that pastors should be so ready to give up their pulpit on Sunday morning to just, people need to prove themselves, but more opportunities need to be given, because how are people going to use their gifting if there is not more opportunity that's allotted to them? Here, teach this Bible study. Here, we're going to have a special Sunday night service, a special midweek service in addition to what we already have, or just on Wednesday night, maybe the pastor usually brings a message. Well, someone else is going to bring the message. This isn't rocket science. You just find ways to give other men in the congregation teaching opportunities and preaching opportunities. So that's the bottom line. More opportunities need to be given. There need to be training up more men in the church for preaching and teaching. And it would be great to see more and more churches improve in that role. Well, those are just a few comments that made me think about some things that actually I was going to say in the video, and I don't always end up saying everything that I was thinking ahead of time I wanted to to say, and that was one of the things I wanted to touch on is that it's not just, of course, when the senior pastor is sick, but really there needs to be a regular training up of preachers in the church so that uh, there are men, elders ready to preach. And thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. I appreciate the encouraging comments, and uh, all of you that are watching it and liking it and subscribing. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I'd appreciate that, and more coming. God bless.